to another video. Today we're going to be talking about postpartum. So I know I've been waiting to film this video for a little bit just to see how things pan out with my recovery, and I thought today would be a good day. And if you hear any light snoring in the background, Bruce is just across the room from me, or really just only a few feet away from me on the love seat, and he is asleep and snoring quite loudly. They're both asleep right now, so I'm able to have a few minutes to sit down and film this. But yeah, so going back to coming home from the hospital, we'll start there. I'll talk first about the physical side of it and then more of the mental health, emotional side of it. It's definitely been a different journey this time than the first time. So might do a little compare and contrast, but start with the physical recovery. So just like with Bruce, my physical recovery has gone great. No complications. At one point I thought there was a complication arising, so I went in for a second incision check and everything was fine. It turned out to not be a super bad thing. But yeah, so coming home from the hospital, I got all the meds I needed. That was a little bit of a journey this time. I get the same medications I had after my C-section with Bruce, but when leaving the hospital, they discharged me at 1:30 in the afternoon, but we didn't actually end up leaving till close to 4. And because I had already been officially discharged, they wouldn't give me any more, like another dose of medication before I left. And so the entire car ride home I was just in miserable pain, because they also didn't fill the prescriptions at the hospital like they did the first time. I had to send it out to my usual pharmacy. Sorry, playing with hair tie. I had to send it out to the pharmacy, which we had done. We had to get back up to where we live from the hospital, which is about 20 to 30 minutes. And so the whole time I'm just like holding on to everything in the back seat. I could barely even enjoy the ride home being next to Libby. It was just so painful and horrible. And I called my mom to let her know what was going on, and because obviously Bruce was here. And by the time we got home, we had managed to pick up the prescriptions, and so I had taken the medication by the time we got home, but it hadn't really kicked in yet. The pharmacy's only like 5 minutes from the house. So I told my mom what was going on, so she had Bruce, she held Bruce until I got situated. But yeah, I couldn't even barely walk from the car to the house. My pain was so bad. I would, it went from 5 or 6 to an 11 in that car ride, or to like 100 in that car ride. It was just out of this world bad. So once I got situated, I got sitting down in the living room, kind of tried to explain to Bruce why mommy was, he couldn't run up and hug mommy, or mommy had a big ouchie on her belly, and so that was interesting. He's 3. He only understands so much. Try to put it on his level. He was taken up by Libby anyway, so everyone wanted to see her, and he was a bit taken aback by her. He was didn't really know what to make of her at first. He wouldn't go near her, he wouldn't hold her, he wouldn't even look at her, and it was just so sad. Because I could barely walk. Anthony had to help me into the house. I did not get any of that on film, and that's okay. I was in way too much pain to even think about that. Moving on, physically, I get into my first incision check at 1 week postpartum. Normally they give you 1 incision check, and then the 6-week appointment I end up having 2 incision checks. But yeah, that first incision check, everything was fine, healing well. The one difference in how they closed the incision this time, I knew they used sutures when they closed my incision with Bruce, but they also used body glue, and they did not use any body glue this time, which is as difficult as it was to get off once the incision was healed. I really did miss the fact that it didn't have body glue, because the body glue had held the incision area flat. There was no the weight from my still existent, your belly doesn't go away right away, wasn't on the incision, it was on the glue. And this time there was no glue, it was on the incision, so it made the pain a bit more intense, and it just was not fun. I really wish that the doctor had used body glue, and even the midwife was surprised that they hadn't used the body glue. So anyway, side had little note about how they closed the wound. But yeah, everything was looking good with the incision. It was healing well. We talked a lot about the differences, like the limitations I would have now versus the last time, mainly regarding Bruce. As obviously, when I had Bruce and I had that C-section, I didn't have to worry about, can I pick up a toddler or can't I pick up a toddler? What can I do with him? What can I do with him? And so we talked, she talked about, no, you can't be able to pick him up until at least 6 weeks. She said 4 weeks bare minimum, if you only absolutely have to, but at least 6, preferably 8. So we're sitting here, we're at 5 weeks and 1 day postpartum today. I am feeling a ton better as I'm almost at that 6-week point. I have accidentally picked him up a couple times, just in kind of, he was doing something he shouldn't be, and my normal reflex is to remove him from that situation and correct him, and I would end up picking him before I realized it, like pick him up, like I got him like an inch or two off the ground, and I was like, oh crap, and like put him back down. I was like, I can't do that. I cannot do that. And he's figured out that, because I can't pick him up, he's kind of putting 2 and 2 together. He's figured out that if I take him in to try to lead him away from the situation, he'll just dead weight. He'll completely dead weight me, which causes me to let him go because I don't need his weight yanking down on my arm and consequently my abdomen. So that's been fun. No, that's been a real fun part. So yeah, I'm almost to the point where I can pick him up, but I'll still keep it very, very limited. Probably to corrective purposes only. And then once we get to 8-9 weeks, become a little bit more into my old routine. Also, I will have been able to start the cesarean massage at that point, or the scar tissue massage at that point, which if you don't know what that is, I'll try to find like a picture or a diagram, like put it up here of what it is. But it is enormously helpful. It basically helps, something I do myself, nothing a doctor has to do, but it just separates the scar tissue that's holding the layers of like muscle tissue to the back of your skin. As the incision heals, sometimes the layers will heal to get to each other. And so working on the scar tissue, doing a scar tissue massage kind of helps separate those layers and gives you more basically gives you your freedom of movement back. So, and there's no pulling after that. You don't feel like if you're bending or twisting or standing up, there's no pulling because the layers are attached to each other, which is basically how it works. And it's amazing. I was terrified to do it postpartum with Bruce when the midwife gave me the informational card and showed me how to do it, taught me how to do it. I was terrified to do it. I was so scared I would break the incision or something bad would happen. But now, 3 years later, knowing the benefits of it, I cannot wait until I can do that again. So you can start doing that at 6 weeks. And obviously, I'll wait till after my 6-week appointment and get it cleared with my midwife. But my appointment is exactly 6 weeks postpartum, so I didn't wait. We still put it off any other day of the week. So yeah, the incision is healing well, and that's where I left off. We were talking about my limitations with Bruce, and we talked a lot about if I were to get pregnant again, what would that look like as far as delivery. And she basically said it would be, because I now had 2 C-sections, and my history of 2 failed attempts at labor. Basically, she put it as, I don't know of an OB in the country who would allow you to try vaginally again. And you've tried twice, it's failed twice, you end up with a C-section, so I would have to have a scheduled C-section for another baby. Which I guess I can talk about that since we're already on to that subject right now. I can talk about answering that question. Are we planning any more children? Are we planning to have any more babies? So, in the plans, the answer is no. We are not planning to have any more babies at this point in time. Anthony was already pretty done he would have been happy to be done with just Bruce, had a boy and a girl, with between Bruce and Nina. But I really wanted at least a girl also, and another baby, just another baby. But I'm glad that she was a girl. And so we did go ahead and have a third kid, our second baby for me, and he's definitely done, especially now that I've had 2 C-sections, and the recovery with having an infant and a toddler is far more intense. Has been far more intense on him as well as on me. It just he's definitely ready to be done, and honestly, I'd be very happy not having another surgery. They're not fun at all. So the recovery from them is not fun, and just I feel I'm more at peace. I would say I'm more at peace with not having any more kids. I haven't had that feeling of like, yes, I'm completely done. Like, I don't want any more babies or any more children. But I have hit that point where I don't want any more C-sections. So I don't want to go through another delivery. Like, C-sections are just, I don't really want to go through it again. And so I know that means that is an end to my pregnancy journey, because you can't be pregnant without giving birth. So we are going to be putting permanent birth control into place within the year, so that no more pregnancies happen. Now we are going to be using methods between now and then, the same methods we were using before Libby, and also I'm going to be adding back in they call it the mini pill. It's the only birth control pill that never argued with my body. I was not using birth control pills after I had Bruce, because I could not find one that my body agreed with other than the progesterone only pill. So we're going to be using that again, and of course I'm breastfeeding, and we are still going to continue to use our natural family planning methods, and I know that can be very hard to do when you don't have a cycle. So I just take my BBT every day to measure if I am ovulating, and if I think I might be, then I'll take a test. Like if the pattern's looking like it, I'll take a test. And either way, OPKs are so cheap these days. You can get like a pack of 100 on Amazon for like $7 or $10. They're very cheap. So if I want to do it that way, also I can. We'll have several barriers in place to prevent an accidental pregnancy, especially before 6 months. You definitely do not want to get pregnant again before 6 months after a C-section. It's just not a good idea. And my provider recommends 18, and that would be August of 2024 before I could even get pregnant again, and we will have had our permanent birth control method placed by then. So, or I guess I could just say it, Anthony is planning to get a vasectomy. My mom was surprised that after my second C-section and not wanting more kids, I hadn't had them tie my tubes during the surgery. But I honestly did not think about it at the time. I had thought about it before. I had even talked with my mother about it before, and I talked with Anthony about it before, but neither of us thought of it in the moment, and that's fine. That's completely fine. We already had our plan for him to get a vasectomy long before then, so that's quite all right. Anyway, so that's our plan for now. So we moved back to talking about my postpartum recovery, the physical recovery. So shortly after that first incision check, I started to develop a lump on the left side of my incision, the very left end, right above the incision. And I, wasn't sure what that was, so I sent a message off to my midwife and sent a couple pictures. And she said she wasn't sure, didn't really tell what it was from the photos, and she was afraid it might be an infection, so she recommended that I come in for a second incision check. So it was, I think, like a week and a day after the first one, something like that. So I called the front desk, set up that appointment, which actually ended up being the same day. They had a cancellation, so they were able to get me in right away to see the midwife on duty. And she took a look at it. She said, "No, it looks normal." She said, "I think it's just a buildup of scar tissue underneath the skin, and once you're able to do the scar tissue massage, we can get that taken care of." So the lump is still there. It hasn't grown any bigger. She'd say that the one indication that it might be an infection is if it grows bigger. So, which it hasn't. It has not grown bigger. I haven't had any seepage or anything from the incision. So that was like a brief scare when I thought when the midwife thought it might have been an infection, but thank goodness it wasn't. So we got that taken care of. And pain, as far as pain, I think I was on pain meds for a bit longer this time than I was postpartum with Bruce. I remember I was not on the the really strong medication for more than a few days after I came home with Bruce. But this time I was on it for like a week and a half after. And the regular dosage of Tylenol and ibuprofen mix was on for a good, like solidly for 4 weeks. Now how many times I took it kept going down. I was down to just taking it once in the morning and once at night, as opposed to every 6 and 8 hours around the clock. And now I only take it when I really feel discomfort. Like I ended up taking some this morning because I was just feeling really, really sore, and I still kind of am. And I've been icing every single day, like putting an ice pack on it every single day for that reason, multiple times a day. So I will ask, I have my 6-week appointment coming up. I will ask them at that appointment, is it normal to still have this much soreness this late in the game? I don't remember having this with Bruce, but I mean, it's been 3 years. I may have forgotten. It's certainly not anything intense. It's just uncomfortable soreness. But yeah, so just kept continuing through the weeks with limited mobility. I do have a good range of mobility back now. I can kind of reach down to the floor. I can get certain things. I can bend my knees as long as I'm keeping my torso straight. I can kind of squat down and grab things off the floor that way. I have not tried kneeling yet. I probably could, but I'm just not pushing it. Not pushing my recovery. I am driving again. Yay. I hit, no, it was even before 5 weeks. So when I was recovering from Bruce, I tried driving when I was 4 weeks postpartum, and I got horribly nauseous and horribly sick. And so I didn't even try again until like a few days into the 5th week, which is later than right now in this postpartum. But this time I decided to try. At first I was like, I'm not even going to try the 5 weeks, like I'm not even going to bother with it. It didn't work well the first time. But then I did end up trying just to drive around the block the other night. It was like 4 weeks and probably almost 5 weeks, like 4 weeks and 4 days, 4 weeks and 5 days, something like that. I tried driving around the block and I was fine. I had a Bible study with some other women the next morning, like a women's Bible study on, I think it was Wednesday morning. And so I was like, yeah, I'll try driving to that. Get on the highway. It's not very far from here. It's about 15 minutes from home. So I wasn't going very far. And yeah, it went well. I had no complications really. I had a little extra soreness at the end of later on in the day. But yeah, so, and then yesterday I ended up taking the kids out in the car just to drive around the neighborhood. Libby was crying, Bruce was upset. I just need to get them in the car to calm everyone down, get everyone to rest. Well, at least with Libby, get her to sleep. Push with Bruce. So it's been fun trying to get Bruce out of his car seat without being able to pick him up. But basically, I've just been teaching him how to climb in and out of it himself, and I just stand in the doorway and make sure he doesn't fall. But I haven't had to lift him at all, not even a little bit. So yay for that. That'll be hugely helpful. If I could just, moving forward in general, just have him climbing in and out of his car seat will help me. But yeah, so that was a big milestone. Driving again sooner than last time. And I think I'm just generally feeling more like myself sooner than last time. I was not even by 7, 8 weeks. I was just not feeling like me. It did not feel good. I just did not feel like myself. So I'm definitely feeling a lot more like me now, more active. I'm feeling a little bit, I guess, of cabin fever, overwhelmed with a little bit of kid overwhelm because I've been mostly inside the house with them for almost 6 weeks. Very little, next to no time by myself, next to no doing anything by myself, and mainly that was because I couldn't drive. But I did talk to Anthony about this Saturday, which is tomorrow, today's Friday, about just leaving the kids with him for an hour or two and going out so I can get I was going to get a pedicure, get my eyebrows done. I haven't had them done since long before Libby was born, and they're getting pretty thick. It's something I did by myself for many years, but now it's just something I enjoy doing, getting done. a little bit of, self-spoiling. But just go out and have an hour or two to myself, and then just make sure, because she is drinking, or she can drink from a bottle now. I had to start her on a bottle, just like with Bruce, I had to start her on a bottle earlier than expected because I was developing nipple cracks and the risk of infection was pretty high. Same things with Bruce. I don't know if I've talked about my breastfeeding journey with him in any of my videos. I don't think I have, but yeah, I got an infection. He didn't give me anything. I got a nipple infection pretty early on in my breastfeeding journey with him, and I had to strictly pump and bottle feed for 5 weeks, which was horrible because I really wanted to breastfeed him. But yeah, like, it had gotten well past cracked nipples. It was like one of my nipples was all the way open. Sorry, this is totally TMI. It was all the way open. It was infected. It was nasty. It was not fun. So I'm not trying to repeat that process. So as soon as I started noticing the same symptoms starting, I immediately started not pumping and bottle feeding strictly, but I started giving my girls some extra breaks. So I would breastfeed her for 2 or 3 of her feeds and then bottle feed her for 1, things like that. And that seems to have staved off, or I pump and bottle feed her. That seems to have staved off the, sorry, I have an incoming call. Second. Alright, and we're back. Alright, so that seems to have staved off the infection. I have not gotten an infection. Everything's healed up well. So she is capable of bottle feeding. It's not something we do regularly. I still pretty much breastfeed her regularly. So anyway, he'll be able to feed her if he needs to, while I run off by myself for an hour or two and just breathe and get a little freedom from the kiddos. And then come back a better mommy for it. So, but yeah, so that's where I am right now. I'm, about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 6 days from my postpartum appointment. And I'm excited about that because I'll be able to start that massage and just feel even more myself. For obvious reasons, my husband is excited about that. Can't have any fun for the first 6 weeks of postpartum, so he's really looking forward to me being cleared for that. And yeah, I think if there's anything, that's the physical side of things. So the emotional, mental side, there really isn't a whole lot with that because it's been so much better than it was with Bruce. I had postpartum depression with Bruce, like really bad anxiety, and I had to come to terms with the fact that I had a C-section that I had not in any way prepped myself mentally for. This time I was far more prepared for it, and I feel like ready for it, but it still sucked. So it was just like getting that news. It was like, we have to deliver this baby abdominally. It was just kind of like, oh, are you kidding me? Not again. It was hard. That was my initial thought, was not again. No, I've worked so hard for this feedback. Why? Ugh. So it was mostly, I guess, frustration, a little bit of fear. I mean, major surgery, it can cause some fear. But yeah, mostly just frustration and disappointment. That's a huge one. But not in myself. Like, the first time I was struggling with feeling disappointed in myself and in my body, I was more frustrated with my body this time than anything because I was so close to getting her out naturally. And if you want to see any more details on that and you haven't watched my birth vlog, I'll put a link to it up here. And you can go take a look at that. It's a few videos ago. To see how close I was and what happened that caused my repeat C-section. Man. Anyway, so it was mostly just a lot of disappointment and frustration around it this time, which was far more easy to reconcile and work through than the just absolute depression I was feeling, the anxiety. At that point, it was the unknown. I had never been through it before. Now I've been through it. I know what to expect from my body. And even so, the recovery hasn't been exactly the same. There have been new surprises along the way, but overall, I feel like it's been easier emotionally and physically this time. But yeah, and then emotionally and mentally, physically, it's been about the same. Yeah, I think one of the hardest bits for me was that this one mentally was a little, or emotionally was a little harder for Anthony. And I see that I'm a very empathetic person, so when he's feeling that kind of way, I feel it too for him. Sorry, I keep playing with his hair tie. I feel it for him, or through him. Like, I feel bad that he has to feel that he's feeling anxious. And mostly it was that first 2 weeks when he was home and spending a lot of time with Bruce. I was seeing him battle a lot of the same battles with, just child rearing that I daily battle with Bruce, and that's just like the correcting him and the playing with him and keeping him out of things and redirecting his energy when he's getting a little too much. And it just seems to be harder for him. It just seemed to me like, for me, it was like nothing. I'm very used to doing that, and it takes me a lot more to get frustrated with him or upset with him over it. Just be like, no, Bruce, come here, do this instead. But yeah, I think Anthony, it just was a bit harder for him. He's just, I don't want to say he's not used to it, but I don't know if it's a mom versus dad thing. It might be. I mean, he's fully well aware of this. We've talked about it. But yeah, I think it might just be a mom versus dad thing, male versus female. I don't know. But yeah, so that was, I felt his frustration for him, but with him, I guess you could say. But I also was very grateful he was there. So those first couple weeks, I do not know how I would have handled Bruce with recovering from the C-section. Excuse me. Now this snoring on around is making me sleepy. With recovering from the C-section and having having a newborn, the regular round the clock, everything with a newborn. So I'm very grateful he was there. And by week 3, I was definitely far more ready. And now it's just become second nature now to have both of them here. Sometimes if they both wake up at the same time in the morning, it's a little bit more challenging and stressful. But yeah, usually they've gotten to a pretty good pattern. I never sleep past 4 a.m. now, because usually Libby wakes up around 3:34 to eat, and I'm able to get her back down by 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then that's when Bruce usually wakes up. And every night I lay back down after I put her back down, and I just pray. I'm like, please God, please let him sleep. Let this be the day he sleeps till 7, at least 6. One more hour. Just give me another hour of sleep. And within minutes, 5 a.m. he's waking up. There was one day he let us sleep till 7. And it was just like, I mean, it was great on the one day, but I wish he would sleep till 7 more regularly. But I mean, now that we have our new couches, at least it's been a little more restful for me once he does get up, because we'll come out here, I'll get him his breakfast, and then we'll just hang out in the living room while Anthony's getting ready for work in the bedroom. But we did get new couches. I do have some footage, and I'll put that more in a life update, but I have some footage of the old couches going out. I did not get any of the new couches coming in because it happening really, really fast, and so I just didn't end up getting that footage. But yes, we have new couches, so I have a comfortable place I can just lay down in the living room. I normally just lay down on the couch, put an ice pack on my abdomen. I normally start the day with icing, end the day with icing usually. Put some ice on there somewhere in the middle of the day, once, maybe twice. Like, probably after I finish filming this, I'm probably going to go lay down and put some ice on it, because it's getting pretty sore right now. And just maybe take a nap with the kids for the rest of their nap time. But yeah, so I think that about covers my recovery from my second C-section and plans for future, or in this case, no plans for future children. If God blesses us through all our walls we put up, then so he does. I just pray that if he does, my body's ready. But I may take you guys along for the journey. Let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see. Daily OPK testing until daily OPK testing until my cycles return is something you guys would like to see, or a video that goes more in depth into how we prevent let me know in comments if you'd like to see that. And if you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe, like the video. Thanks for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know, what you'd like to see, or if you have any requests for upcoming videos. I'm definitely going to be getting more back into my normal routine now. But yeah, so thanks for joining. Love you guys. Bye.